Why wouldn't they ask her? Why would her own family take her savings without permission? Her heart pounded in her ears. She grabbed her bag and keys and drove straight to her sister's house. Her mind was full of questions, each one crashing into the next. Tears blurred her vision, but she forced herself to keep going. When she arrived, Tom opened the door, holding a mug of coffee and wearing a lazy grin. "Ooh," he said, sounding almost amused. "So you figured it out." Lena felt her chest tighten. "Where is my money?" Tom shrugged, leaned against the doorframe, and took a sip. "Relax. We needed it more than you. You don't have kids. You don't have big responsibilities. You'll be fine." Lena stared at him in disbelief. His tone wasn't apologetic. It wasn't embarrassed. He sounded annoyed, as if she had done something wrong. Her sister appeared behind him, looking nervous, but not guilty. "Lena, please understand. We're struggling. Bills are piling up." Tom thought. Lena whispered, her voice trembling. "My savings? Without asking me?" Tom rolled his eyes. "Look, you make money. You live alone. You don't need that much. We're family. We share things. It's not a big deal. You're overreacting." Lena felt something inside her break, not anger, not rage, but a deep, painful disappointment. Family wasn't supposed to do this. Family wasn't supposed to steal, then justify it. She held her bag tightly, trying to steady her hands. "You had no right," she said quietly. Tom laughed, a short, mocking sound. "Oh, please. You'll get over it. You always do." But Lena didn't feel like getting over it. Something inside her had changed, and for the first time in her life, she realized she needed to stand up not only for her money, but for her dignity. She took a step back, her voice calm and cold. "If you think I'm going to let this go, Tom, you're wrong." As she turned to leave, Tom smirked. "Do whatever you want, but you won't win." Lena didn't answer. She simply closed the door behind her. Feeling a storm building inside her chest, one she could no longer ignore. She didn't know how. But she promised herself one thing. She would get her money back. And she would make sure this never happened. Again, Lena drove home with her heart pounding the entire way. Every streetlight looked blurry through her teary eyes. She tried to breathe, but each breath felt heavy. Her mind kept replaying Tom's voice, his careless laugh, his words that stung more deeply than she expected. "You'll get over it. We needed it more than you. You don't have kids." Each sentence felt like someone pressing on a bruise when Lena reached her apartment. She sat in the car for several minutes, gripping the steering wheel. She didn't want to go inside. She didn't want to face the quiet. She didn't want to look at her empty bank account again. But she had to. She finally walked in, turned on the lights, and sank into her couch. For a moment, she buried her face in her hands. She wasn't someone who cried easily, but tonight, she allowed herself to feel hurt, really hurt. Not because of the money, but because of what her own family had done. After a long silence, she wiped her face and took a slow breath. Her voice came out soft but steady. "I have to do something." She wasn't sure what that something was yet. But she knew she couldn't just accept this. She couldn't let Tom walk all over her and pretend it was okay, because they were. Pangaea, she opened her laptop, searched her bank statements again, then checked the exact time of each withdrawal. She noticed something interesting. Every withdrawal had been made during a short window, right when everyone was outside taking group photos. Lena remembered leaving her purse in the living room. She hadn't thought anything of it at the time. But now, she felt a cold shiver run through her. Someone had taken her card from her bag. Someone had known her pen. Someone had planned this. She pressed her hand to her forehead. "Why would they do this?" she whispered. Anger slowly began to push through her sadness. Not loud, anger quiet, controlled anger. The kind that made her back straighten and her thoughts sharpen. She printed the bank statements, highlighted the suspicious times, and placed the papers neatly on her coffee table. Looking at the evidence gave her a strange strength. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. The next morning, Lena went to work with barely any sleep. She tried to act normal, but her co-workers quickly noticed. She seemed distant and drained. During lunch, her friend and colleague, Maria, sat beside her with a warm, concerned look. "You okay? You look like you've been thinking a lot," Maria said gently. Lena hesitated, then nodded. "I discovered something really painful yesterday." Maria didn't push. She just waited, patient and quiet. Eventually, Lena told her everything around it: how she checked her account, how the money was taken, and how Tom spoke to her as if she didn't deserve her own savings. Maria's eyes widened. "Lena, that's not just wrong. That's illegal." "No," Lena said softly. Maria leaned forward. "You're not alone. You should report this. You have evidence. You have the transaction times. And they can't excuse this as family business." Lena bit her lip. "I don't want to destroy my relationship with my sister." Maria placed a gentle hand on her arm. "They destroyed it when they stole from you." That sentence hit Lena deep. It wasn't said harshly, it was simply true. Lena looked at the printed statements in her bag. For the first time since seeing the empty balance, she felt a small spark of courage. Maybe she didn't have kids. Maybe she lived alone. Maybe she was quiet. But she wasn't weak. When she reached home that evening, she placed all her documents neatly on the table. She stared at everything, took a deep breath, and made a decision she had never imagined making. Tomorrow morning, she would take the first step. She would report what happened, even if it meant facing a storm. Asterisk the next morning. Lena woke up earlier than usual. She barely slept, but strangely, she felt more awake than she had in days. The decision she made the night before sat in her chest like a heavy stone, but it also gave her strength. For the first time since the reunion, she felt like she was taking control. She got dressed, packed the bank statements, and drove to the small police station in her town. As she walked through the glass doors, her hands trembled slightly. She had never reported anything before, not even a lost item. This felt serious and painfully personal. A calm-looking officer at the front desk greeted her. "Good morning. How can we help you?" Lena swallowed. I need to report unauthorized withdrawals from my bank account." The officer nodded and guided her to a small room. Another officer, Officer Hallie, joined them and asked her to explain everything. From the beginning, Lena spoke slowly, telling the story step by step: how the family reunion went, how she left her bag in the living room, how she later discovered the missing money, and how her brother-in-law reacted when she confronted him. Officer Holley listened carefully, taking notes. When she finished, he asked, "You sure you didn't authorize anyone else to use your card?" "Absolutely," Lena said. "I didn't give my PIN to anyone. I didn't even know it was missing until I checked my balance." Officer Harley leaned forward. "And you said the withdrawals went to an account you recognize?" "Yes," Lena whispered. "My sister and her husband." The officer let out a slow breath. "I understand this is difficult. But you did the right thing by coming in." is a serious matter. Lena nodded, though her stomach churned with guilt. She kept seeing her sister's face, worried, but silent. Why didn't her sister stop Tom? Why didn't she tell him it was wrong? Officer Halle stood. We'll start. An official report. We may need to contact them for questioning. Are you prepared for that? Lena closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. Yes, I have to be. When Lena left the station, she sat in her car with her hands gripping the wheel. Her phone began buzzing. It was her sister. She stared at the screen, unsure whether to answer. After a long pause, she picked up. Lena, her sister said, sounding panicked. Tom said, you came over last night angry? What happened? Why did you leave like that? Lena almost laughed from disbelief. You know what happened. You know what you both did. Her sister exhaled shakily. Tom said it was just a misunderstanding. He said you agreed, I agreed. Lena cut in. I never agreed to anything. You took money that wasn't yours? Silence. Then a soft, shaky whisper. I'm sorry, I didn't know what else to do. Hearing her sister's voice break made Lena's chest tighten. For a moment, she almost felt sorry. But then she remembered the bank app. The empty balance. Tom's smirk. And her sister standing behind him doing nothing. You could have asked me, Lena said gently. I would have helped you. Her sister sniffed. Tom said you wouldn't. He said you're too careful with money. He said you don't understand real struggles. Lena closed her eyes. I understand more than you think. Before her sister could respond, Lena continued, I filed a report today. There was a gasp. Lena, no, please. Tom will lose his job. We'll be in trouble. Please, don't do this. I didn't do this, Lena said softly. Tom did. And you let him. There was no anger in her voice. Just truth. Her sister began crying harder, but Lena had already made up her mind. I hope things get better. For you, she said quietly. But I can't let this go. She hung up before she could lose her resolve. As she drove home, Lena felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. She wasn't happy. She wasn't celebrating. But she wasn't powerless. Anymore, she had taken the first step. And she knew the situation was only going to get more complicated from here. Because Tom would not stay quiet for long. Asterisked by the next morning, Lena knew the calm wouldn't last. She had expected tension. Maybe angry messages? But she wasn't prepared for how fast things escalated. At around 9 a.m., her phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Is this Lena? A rough voice asked. Yes, this is Tom. Just hearing his name made her stomach tighten. Dottie didn't sound angry at first. In fact, he spoke with a tone that tried to sound relaxed, like he was calling about something minor. Listen, he said. I heard you talk to some officer. You made a mistake. You should call them back and clear it up. Lena stayed silent. Tom continued. Families don't involve the police. Families solve things inside the house. You know that? Lena took a slow breath. You took my money without permission. Tom scoffed loudly. Oh, stop acting like a victim. You have a good job, you're comfortable, we're not. It's not stealing if it's from family. Lena's voice tightened. It's stealing when you take something that doesn't belong to you. The calm tone dropped instantly. Tom's voice rose, sharp and harsh. So now you're turning on us. You want to destroy your sister's life? Over a little money? Little money, Lena whispered. It was everything I saved. There was a pause. Then Tom said in a cold, flat voice, If you don't drop this, Lena, I'll make sure you regret it." For a moment, she felt a drop of fear deep in her stomach. Tom wasn't the kind of man who made empty threats. But she forced herself not to show it. "You already took my savings?" she said quietly. "What else is there to take?" She ended the call before he could respond. Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. She hated conflict. She hated fighting. But she also knew she couldn't give in, not now, not after everything. A couple of hours later, Officer Hulley called her. "Miss Lena, we contacted your brother-in-law to ask some questions. He didn't handle the call well. We may need you to come in and give a follow-up statement." Lena sighed. "I understand. Are you safe at home?" the officer asked. "Yes," she said, though she wasn't entirely sure. After hanging up, Lena texted Maria to meet for coffee after work. Maria arrived quickly and hugged her tightly. "You look like you're carrying the whole world on your shoulders," Maria said softly. "I feel like I am," Lena replied. They sat at a small cafe near Lena's office. The warm smell of coffee made the space feel comforting, like a safe corner in the middle of chaos. Lena told Maria everything: Tom's phone call, his threats, her sister's tears. Maria listened with a concerned expression. "Tom's trying to scare you, so you'll stop. That means he knows he messed up." Lena nodded. "I know. But I hate this. I don't want to hurt anyone." Maria touched her hand gently. "Lena, you're not hurting them. You're setting boundaries. You're protecting yourself." Lena swallowed hard. "Why does doing the right thing feel so heavy?" "Because you care," Maria said. "And because it involves people you love. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human." Lena looked out the cafe window at people walking by. Everyone looked so calm, so normal. She wondered how many of them were dealing with hidden battles too. She whispered, "I just want my life back." "You will," Maria said. "One step at a time." That night, Lena returned home feeling exhausted, but more grounded. She placed her printed statements neatly back in her folder. Before going to bed, she checked her bank app again, still empty, a painful reminder. But this time, she didn't break down. She wasn't done fighting. She wasn't done standing up. She wasn't done reclaiming what was hers. Because tomorrow, Officer Hulley would start the next step. And soon, the truth about what Tom did would come out, whether he liked it or not. Asterisks. The next few days felt long and tense. Lena went to work, came home, and tried to keep herself calm, but her thoughts repeated in circles. She wasn't afraid of Tom. She was tired of being hurt by people who said they loved her. She kept telling herself, "I didn't start this. I'm just protecting myself." On Thursday morning, Officer Hulley called again. "Miss Lena, we finished reviewing your statements. We also questioned your sister and Tom. They gave conflicting stories." Lena closed her eyes. "I see." The officer lowered his voice. "Your sister admit her. Tom took the card. She said she didn't stop him because she felt pressured. Tom, however, claimed you gave permission. There's no evidence supporting his claim." Lena felt a mix of sadness and relief. What happens now? We have more than enough to proceed. But before we move forward, I need to ask you something. The officer paused. Do you want to press full charges, or do you want to mediate it? Solution? It's your choice. Her chest tightened. This was the moment she had been preparing for, the moment she feared the most. Pressing charges meant real consequences. Tom could lose his job. Her sister's marriage could break. The family might blame Lena forever. But letting it go meant she would betray herself. And it meant Tom would think he was right, that he could take from her and laugh in her face. Lena took a slow, shaky breath. I need a little time to think. Of course, Officer Harley replied kindly. Call me when you decide. She ended the call and sat at her kitchen table. Morning light streamed in through the window. It should have felt peaceful, but her heart was racing. A few minutes later, there was a knock on her door. When she opened it, her sister stood there, eyes red, hands shaking, looking smaller than Lena had ever seen her. Can I talk to you? Her sister asked softly. Lena didn't want another argument, but she stepped aside and let her in. Her sister sat down, wringing her hands nervously. Tom is furious, she whispered. He says you're ruining everything. He says you're trying to destroy his life. Lena stayed quiet. Her sister hesitated, then tears spilled down her cheeks. But he was wrong, Lena. I know that. I should have stopped him. I should have told you the truth. I'm so sorry. Lena's heart softened, but she didn't speak yet. Her sister continued, I didn't come to defend him. I came to tell you something important. I'm leaving him. Lena blinked. What? Her sister wiped her eyes. Can't stay with someone who steals from family and thinks it's okay. Someone who threatens my sister. Someone who blames everyone but himself. I made a mistake supporting him. I'm done. Lena felt a deep ache in her chest, pain mixed with relief. Her sister took a trembling breath. I know you have to do what's right for you. And whatever you decide, I'll respect it. For the first time in weeks, Lena reached forward and held her sister's hands. They sat quietly, letting the moments settle between them. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't magically healed. But it was honest. After her sister left, Lena stood alone in her living room. The weight on her shoulders felt lighter still, heavy, but bearable. She picked up her phone and dialed Officer Harley. I've made my decision, she said. Double quotes, yes, Miss Lena. I don't want to destroy anyone, she said softly. But I also won't let this be ignored. I want a mediated solution. I want my savings returned. And I want a written agreement so nothing like this ever happens again. Officer Harley responded, we can arrange that. And if anything goes wrong, you can still pursue formal charges later. Thank you, Lena said. When she hung up, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, calm, not victory. Not revenge. Just peace. A few weeks later, the money was returned. Tom moved out. Her sister started rebuilding her life, and Lena finally felt like she had taken back her power. Family was important, but self-respect was priceless, and for the first time in a long time. Lena felt proud of herself, not for being quiet or forgiving, but for standing up when it mattered most.